to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be talking about my week 6 and 7 pregnancy update. I was going to do these videos separately, but when I went to my dating ultrasound, I was like half a week further along than I thought it was going to be, so I decided just to combine these two videos. Now my weeks switch over on Mondays or Sundays instead of Wednesdays. So that will change when I film and upload, but that actually works out better for us because my husband works nights and it's hard for me to film and during the daytime when all the kids are here. So it's nice when I can film on a day that he's here. He can watch the kids and try to keep them in there and occupied and quiet. Okay, so for symptoms, exhaustion. That week I was so exhausted. I usually never take naps, but I would get up and we'd do our morning routine and get our morning chores done and things. And then I would need to take a rest before we got into homeschool, and then we'd do our homeschool stuff and then eat lunch and clean up from lunch, and I would need to sit down and take another rest. Sometimes I would even take a nap while my youngest was taking a nap. I would just lay on the couch, not really meaning to fall asleep, and then I'd wake up and realize I'd fell asleep. And then this week was kind of a bad week for all symptoms. It was very strange. I had a lot of shortness of breath, dizziness, ringing in my ears, tunnel vision. I almost fainted several times. And then I also had some mild cramping and just a little bit of spotting. Okay, no, I take that back. It was not mild cramping. I had mild cramping, but this day was severe abdominal pains. I couldn't even stand up straight. I was bent over and I couldn't walk, so I just laid on the couch for about an hour until that went away. My husband had taken one of our children 2 hours away to the neurologist, and when he got home I had told him about it, and I called my doctor and just told them. I honestly didn't expect anything, but they asked me to come in, so I went in for a visit. And then I wasn't expecting an ultrasound, but I did get an ultrasound this day. And I was 5 weeks. Well, I thought I was 5 weeks exactly, but I was 5 weeks in a few days. This was actually the day that I uploaded my last video. And if I had known this would have happened, I would have waited and filmed the video afterwards, so it would have been included in that video. But I didn't know this was going to happen, so it's in this video. And he just did a quick ultrasound over my stomach. It was the portable machine. It's really old and it's not very good resolution or anything. They have actually nicknamed it the dinosaur. So they brought the dinosaur in and put it on my stomach. He was able to tell me that I have a subchorionic hemorrhage, and also that I had identical twins. So that was super exciting. But he also said that it looked like we had lost one. He said it looked like one had stopped developing. But I was really surprised he could see anything over my stomach at 5 weeks and with the dinosaur. So I didn't put all my hopes and dreams in this one ultrasound. I've had miscarriages before. I've had ultrasounds where I knew as soon as it popped up on the screen that something was wrong and it wasn't right. And this wasn't it. I didn't have that feeling. And honestly, at 5 weeks, I was expecting just to see a sac and nothing in it. So I wasn't devastated. I didn't have that feeling of sadness or sorrow or dread. I really felt like maybe he was wrong. He was mistaken. I prayed about it and we asked friends and family to pray about it. I even commented to a couple of YouTubers who I've watched and follow, and I know they're Christian and religious and stuff because they have that on their channels, and I commented and asked them to pray for us. And I went back for my dating ultrasound in week 6, so I'll get into that then. More symptoms were hot and cold. One minute I would be freezing and I would put on like socks and a jacket. I wasn't gonna mess with the temperature because everyone else was comfortable. And then the next minute I'd be burning up, sweating, and I'd be shedding everything back off. So that was unusual. Bloating and then nausea. Before the ultrasound, when they told me it was twins, my husband and I were kind of joking. He actually talked to my stomach. He said, "Come here, let me talk to the twins." We've always wanted twins. Every time we get pregnant, we hope and pray that it's twins, but we go for an ultrasound and it's always just one. But so it wasn't that we really thought we were having twins. It was more that we were just hoping. And so, but typically I only get nausea around week 8. And then it peaks around week 10, and then it's usually gone by like 11 or 12. So I only have a short window of morning sickness. And I started having nausea really early at 5.5 weeks during my 6th week here. And that was unusual. So then when we went for the ultrasound, he said that it was twins. Then everything was like, well, that's why I'm so exhausted. I'm not just tired, I'm exhausted. And that's why my nausea is kicked in this early. So then everything kind of made sense. And then for weight gain, I have lost 0.5 pound. And I didn't take my waist measurement for week 6, I'm sorry. Baby stats for week 6. I was actually looking at these, comparing 5 and 6, because I thought the growth was so incredible. For week 6, so it says baby is the size of a Smartie, a ladybug, or a grain of rice. But the length and weight measurements is what I thought was incredible. For week 5, length was 0.1 inches, and then for week 6, it was 0.3. So it tripled in length from crown to rump. And then weight for week 5 was 0.004 ounces. So 4/1000ths of an ounce. And then for week 6, it was 0.01 ounce. So 100th of an ounce, which is incredibly tiny and basically nothing. And I'm surprised they even put a weight on here. But for it to go from 4/1000ths of an ounce to a 100th of an ounce, that seems like a big jump. Okay, now for week 7, I will start with the dating ultrasound. So with this one, we had already told Josh's mom and his aunt that and his sister that we were pregnant, and that they said that we had conceived twins, that he couldn't get a good look, but it looked like maybe we had lost one of them. But since we had used the really old portable ultrasound, and I was only 5 weeks, and he did it on top of my stomach, and he was very quick with it, because I actually wasn't on his schedule. I was scheduled to see someone else, but she was on call. She had left to deliver a baby, and so he already had his 2 o'clock patient, and then he was seeing me as well. So he was kind of rushed and in a hurry, which I understand because I used to be a medical assistant. I worked at a doctor's office, and I know if a doctor has his full schedule and then he's out for whatever reason, you have to disperse those patients, then it can make you get behind and stuff like that. So I understand, and even if I had lost one, he couldn't do anything about it at 5 weeks. So he just looked and said, you know, you have a subchorionic hemorrhage. That's probably where the bleeding's coming from. You can expect heavy bleeding and cramping over the next several days. but if it becomes like intense or unbearable, you can come back in. No reason to suffer at home alone. So we had already told them that news and told them that we just had a feeling that he was mistaken and that both babies were fine. And, you know, that's what we were praying for and what other people were praying for us. So my mother-in-law went with us to the dating ultrasound. I thought I was 6 weeks even, but I was actually 6.5 weeks when she did the measurements. So that's why I just waited a few more days and combined week 6 and 7 together. So for that ultrasound, we went in and did all the measurements and everything. This was like in the ultrasound room with the new high-tech machine, with an internal ultrasound so we could see better. She didn't say anything about the subchorionic hemorrhage. She didn't measure it, so I don't know how big it was. He didn't measure it the first time either, so I don't know if it's gotten larger or went away. But I haven't had any cramping at all. I haven't had any bleeding or spotting at all. With my last pregnancy, I actually had a subchorionic hemorrhage with him, and I bled heavily from 9 weeks until 22 weeks. That was kind of scary and nerve-wracking, but he was fine and healthy, so that was okay. But this time I haven't had any bleeding or cramping at all. So part of me was worrying that maybe it was continuing to bleed and the blood wasn't coming out, so it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But then my husband was like, or maybe your body's just absorbing it. And so I didn't really stress about that too much. And when we went to the ultrasound, like I said, she didn't measure it or say anything about it, but maybe he could just tell by looking at the ultrasound pictures, because after the ultrasound we went to see him and he said that it was smaller. So that was good. Let's see what else happened during that ultrasound. I did not tell her that he had already told me that we were having twins. I was just letting her do her thing, and I was looking at it, and I thought I saw 2, but she labeled 1 the yolk sac, so it must have just been the baby in the yolk sac. And the ultrasound he did, you couldn't see them both at the same time. He could see one and then he'd move and see the other one. And she said she only saw 1 baby. The heartbeat was 123. And I didn't tell her that we were expecting to see 2. So she didn't look for 2. And I don't know why I didn't say anything. I don't know why I didn't ask her to look for 2. I don't know. That was weird. I don't know why I didn't say anything. So we left. We went into the doctor's room and he went over the ultrasound. Like I said, he said the subchorionic hemorrhage was smaller. He said that the baby was measuring good. It was actually larger than I expected. Heartbeat was good and all that stuff. And then he said, okay, good to go. So when I left, I was kind of thinking, why didn't I say something? Why didn't I just have her look just to make sure? Because at that time, I still felt like both babies were okay. I still felt like I was pregnant with twins. I was still having those intense symptoms. And so I thought, or I was hoping, I guess hanging on to some hope that maybe both babies were still there. She didn't know to look for twins. She didn't see them. I didn't say anything. Maybe the twin was just hiding behind the other one. So I left with still some hope that it was twins. But over the last few days, my symptoms have been decreasing. Now I'm just tired, not exhausted. I've been able to go all day, every day without taking a nap or needing a rest break or yawning like crazy. My nausea went away. I haven't had any nausea symptoms in days. And before I was like nauseous and gagging. I didn't vomit or anything, but I haven't done that at all. I haven't even felt nauseous at all. So yesterday in the car, I actually broke down and started crying because I was kind of accepting the fact that maybe we did lose one of the twins. And I've always wanted twins. I've always wanted twins. And I felt like we finally got our twins and then we lost one. And so with my symptoms subsiding, then my hope was also subsiding, and its acceptance was coming into play. And so I just got sad. I cried. It's hard to explain because I am happy for the baby that I have. I am happy that I have a healthy baby, but I'm also sad for the baby that we lost. It's still a loss of a life. So it's conflicting emotionally. Yeah, it's just conflicting. It's hard to explain. It's not as devastating as previous miscarriages. It also happened earlier than some of my other miscarriages. And I am still pregnant. And so I'm happy for that baby. I'm just sad for the one that we lost. But I still consider myself a twin mom because I did conceive twins. I just don't get to carry twins or birth twins or raise twins. But when this baby is older, I can tell him or her that he or she does have a twin. Just their twin is in heaven. So it's sad, but not devastating, I suppose. I don't know. Like I said, it's conflicting. It's hard. But I go back in 3 weeks from that previous visit, just for a checkup. Then we will actually do my blood work. I haven't had any blood work yet. So we'll go in, we'll do the blood work. That will be my initial OB appointment, I guess. I don't know. I feel like we're doing things out of order. So, because I've already had 2 ultrasounds, but I haven't even had my OB workup yet. So, anyway, I'll do that. And he said that he would use the dinosaur portable machine and do another ultrasound then, to check on the subchorionic hemorrhage. And like I said before, when I still had hope, I was hoping that maybe he would see both of them and be like, oh, you do still have twins. One was just hiding. She didn't know to look for 2, so she didn't see 2. But now that my symptoms are going away, that hope is going away, I figure I probably won't go in and see 2. But it would be absolutely incredible if we did. So that goes over the ultrasound and the symptoms. Weight gain is still down 1/2 pound. Baby the baby this week is size of a blueberry, a honeybee, or a jelly bean. And then length is 1/2 inch and weight is 0.02 ounces. So I see blueberry and jelly bean, and I think kind of small, but then I think a honeybee, and I think that's big, but I guess really it's the same size as the jelly bean. But yeah, so I was surprised when I saw a honeybee. I was like, oh, that's kind of big, but I guess not. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I know this video is a lot longer than my other videos, which is kind of funny because I try to make like a long video and then it's like 4 minutes. Even my last video was 2 weeks combined and it was still only like 4.5, 5 minutes. But I have a feeling that this one will be longer because I had the 2 ultrasounds to talk about. But if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, you can leave them down below. I would love to answer you. And if there's anything that you want me to talk about each week going forward, you can let me know and I'll add that into future videos. But bye, I hope you guys have a good day.